We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything about college football except for this. If you want to subscribe to our channel, go ahead. If you want to smash the like button or not, because this content is lousy today, make your decision. I could care less. If you want to donate to this Rebel Outpost channel, hit the $, put a comment in, and I will get to your message, your super chat, as soon as possible. Welcome in to the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and PJ on Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend in the chat and with your phone calls later in the show. I have no idea how long this monologue will go. I have no idea how long this live show will go. I have no idea how long the fat guy from Minnesota is gonna go. What I've been dreading, what I've been reporting at Peek Around the Corner for 3 weeks, let me show you something. John Till, thank you for your super chat. Eric Bienemy would be spicy for UCLA. Super. Go ahead! Martin Jaman, go ahead! Eric Bienemy's a great candidate. Go for it. Please. Thank you, John, for the super chat. Appreciate your generosity once again. Great candidate. Beautiful candidate. Absolutely beautiful. We've been on this thing. I'm a little late. I've been working. I've been on the phone. I started a Minnesota 247 thread. How many days ago? I'm just going to post it. I can't, it's behind a paywall. I'll just show you a glimpse of it. When did I post this? January 31st. January 31st. PJ Fleck may become candidate for the Bruins head coach if job opens up. I believe some Bruins will have interest in Fleck. Again, we will see if Chip Kelly goes to D.C. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. It'll be fine. It will be fine. On this, that was me, by the way. On this channel, early peak episode, I don't remember what number it was, 19, go into the YouTube channel. For you early peak members, and to become an early peak member, all you got to do is hit the join button. And I see there was a gift membership handed out. And I'm going to thank the person in a little bit here. Thank you so very much for your generosity. So for those who picked up that membership in the chat room, I believe it was Ted Evans, Mr. Husky. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your generosity, Ted. I'll get back to you in a little bit here. For those who had the membership at the time, or those who, just received it, go and watch it. But here it is. This was 5 days ago. 5 days ago, I said this about the possible opening of the UCLA head coaching job. Again, if you just join us, if you've been busy today, Chip Kelly has quickly been hired as the new offensive coordinator of the Ohio State Buckeyes after Bill O'Brien, who was the coordinator for a month, I don't know, for the Buckeyes, went and grabbed the Boston College head coaching job. This is what I said 5 days ago on early peak episode of To Him. Two current Power 4 head coaches, one being PJ Fleck, I've talked about that before, and Dave Clawson, the head coach of Wake Forest. Now, Clawson has never spent any time on the West Coast. PJ Fleck really hasn't either, except for being a third, fourth string NFL wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. But neither Fleck or Clausen has spent any time in college football on the Pacific Coast. However, Martin Jaman, the athletic director of UCLA, he didn't spend any time on the West Coast, Pacific Coast either before he became the athletic director of UCLA. Dave Clausen and PJ Fleck have the same agent, Brian Harlan, the same agent. And he has not, he hasn't really put his names, his agents. He also is an agent of Mario Cristobal, but he would not be a factor in the UCLA job. He has not put forward any of his clients' names in the coaching carousel so far. But if the UCLA job goes open, and I think it will, I think you're going to be hearing at least one of the names, Clausen or Fleck or both. I think it's going to happen. One of those names is going to be mentioned as a candidate. Does either Fleck or Clausen, are they going to be interested in becoming UCLA's head coach? I know PJ Fleck has had some interest in the past. There's been some cross-pollination between at least his agent and UCLA. I do not know about Clausen. Okay, so that was 5 days ago. Now, every single day on Twitter, on you know, I've been dreading this day for Chip Kelly to leave, because I knew that PJ Fleck was going to be at least named. That is the best case scenario for the Golden Gophers, that he's just named. Earlier today, breaking, UCLA head coach Chip Kelly is expected to join Ohio State as his next offensive coordinator. Brett McMurphy, UCLA coach Chip Kelly, leaving to become Ohio State's offensive coordinator. Bruce Feldman reports when Day was New Hampshire's QB, Kelly was New Hampshire's offensive coordinator. Expect Minnesota's PJ Fleck among UCLA's top candidates. Brett McMurphy, UCLA athletic director Martin Jaman, I want to sincerely thank Chip for his services to UCLA football and our student athletes across the past 6 seasons, and wish the best to him and his wife Jill moving forward. It is imperative we support our student athletes and put them in the best position to succeed. UCLA is a special place, and we are confident we will find a leader for our football program who develops young men on and off the field and embodies our true Bruin values. Pete Thamel. We all talked about Pete Thamel. He's got the Rolodexes for the agent. A pretty vanilla statement so far from Pete Thamel's source. UCLA has been made aware of Chip Kelly's potential departure and is planning on a national search for a replacement. Now, week before I came on live, The Athletic put out a small article on the potential head coach jobs for UCLA. And of course, they named PJ Fleck. I want to get into this a little bit. First of all, thank you so much, Ted Evans. Thank you for your incredible generosity. Thank you so much for your unbelievable, your gift membership. Sir, Mr. Evans, you are knighted once again, cloak and dagger. Whoops. That was the wrong music. Oh, boy. I'm spinning out of control today. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Appreciate it. Let me see if I can figure out if I can figure out who got those memberships so I can congratulate them. Maury Simmons, Seminole School, Tuffy Duffy, Grateful Trojan, and Bo Stacker. You are all once again, or for the first time, Cloak and Dagger Knighted. And what that does is you can go get yourself, you can go watch just that episode 5 days ago, where we said it was, oh boy, this is going to be tough. Let me get through this here. The reason why on January 31st, I put the heads up to the Minnesota 247 board, a place that's run by the great Ryan Burns. It's a place I used to break stories. The reason I talked about this scenario 2 or 3 weeks ago is the same reason why you're seeing PJ Fleck being named in these articles. There is interest. Now, I've gotten a few text messages from UCLA beat writers before I came on. I've never had any communication with them. I'm going to tell them what I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to give them as much as I give you. You guys, you hear every day. You're getting the information, the peek around the corner on national stories. And this happens to be a local Minnesota story. And this isn't the first time we've been on the PJ Fleck. We were the ones who broke it in 2016, 216 days before Tracy Claeys got fired. That story is also in the Los Angeles Times. That was part of the Los Angeles Times. It was crazy days. But we had the information, but you can go read that. Here's the thing about this. I do not know if PJ Fleck is interested in the UCLA job in 2024. I don't know that. I'm gonna tell you guys something. Before we get to the Athletic article, before I get to your articles, your comments, your great comments, I've seen them already, and before I get to the phone calls, I do not know. I don't know. Back in 2016, we knew that PJ Fleck was going to be Mark Coyle's number one target 216 hours before Tracy Claeys got fired, when just about everybody believed Tracy Claeys wasn't going to get fired. But we had the information. Can't tell you how we had it. We knew that PJ Fleck was going to be the number one target. We knew he had 72 hours to decide, but we didn't know if he was going to say yes or no. Just like when we were when we were a little bit ahead of the curve on Washington's DeBoer going to Alabama and Jed Fish going to Washington, we were way ahead of the curve on the Minnesota story. We got some golden nuggets, some big time Cloak and Dagger. On this one, we do not know if PJ Fleck is interested. But we do know, and I'm going to put it in the same way I put it on the early peak episode 5 days ago. There was cross-pollination. There was a wink and a nod of interest from both sides. I'm not going to tell you the exact time frame. A couple years ago, that's all I'm going to say. So, the UCLA job. Now, is UCLA still interested in PJ Fleck? Is the athletic director interested in PJ Fleck? I can't tell you yes or no on that question, but I can tell you this. And I said it 5 days ago. I said it a week ago. Heck, I said it yesterday, day before it, weeks ago. UCLA, number one issue is their NIL has gone through the floor and crashed. They're running deficits. So they're going to want to hire somebody, a name that excites the biggest boosters. I am not saying this is not the athletic director's decision. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, like all decisions, but this one in particular, the money perch at UCLA is going to have a heavy influence on who they target. Well, it just so happens that the interest coming out of UCLA a couple years ago, and we know this for a fact, was from their money perch. So if their number one weakness, the UCLA Bruins, it isn't their recruiting grounds. They have a lot of, they have stuff going for them. They joined in the Big Ten. Beautiful stadium. They have a trouble selling tickets, but beautiful stadium. They're going to sell more in the Big Ten. There's going to be people traveling from all over the place, including the little general and myself, to get to the Rose Bowl. Besides the point. Their biggest weakness is their support from their boosters, NIL. So they're going to go after someone that excites that part of the program. And it just so happens that PJ Fleck is one of those guys who would excite the boosters. Now, let me tell you something about PJ Fleck, because I have been hit both sides. I have been hit by Gopher fans raked over the coals saying PJ Fleck would have no interest in that UCLA job. They're no good. They're coming in the Big Ten. They're going to get killed. They're going to lose their roster. They don't even have any money to spend for a coaching staff. They don't have an NIL. And then I get hit from the other side, from the Bruin fans just today saying, are you kidding me? We can do a lot better than PJ Fleck. Let me set the table. Let me set the table. PJ Fleck, is he a Hall of Fame coach? No. But holy smokes, he has done an unbelievable job at Minnesota. Prior to last year, the last 3 full seasons were the best 3 full seasons that Minnesota football since 1962, 63, 64. It's all about context. You cannot judge PJ Fleck's record, which is good, like he was the coach of Alabama, the Buckeyes, and Michigan. To say that, to have expectations that Minnesota is going to be challenging for the Big Ten championship is like saying Alabama Huntsville D1 hockey team should come up to Minnesota and compete with Minnesota. It's 2 different worlds. What PJ Fleck has done at Minnesota is incredible. And by the way, PJ Fleck just was able to build, Dinky Town Athletics, the people there running that shop has done an unbelievable job. PJ Fleck, they finally built an NIL program, an NIL collective where they could keep their players. And they kept them in this cycle. They didn't keep them last year. That's why Minnesota finally took a step back with PJ Fleck. The Gophers got gutted in the portal. They did not get gutted in the portal this time. That's why it would be so devastating to Minnesota if they lost Fleck. We'll get to that in a little bit. So, if Fleck has interest in 2024, which we do not know, and if I find out, I'm going to say something during this live show, right after this live show, tonight, tomorrow, because I'm on this story like you would not believe. I've already been on this story as evidence. But I don't know if PJ Fleck has interest in this job. But if it's PJ Fleck or one of the names mentioned in the Athletic article, which we're going to go through right now, before they take the UCLA job, they're going to want guarantees. They're going to want guarantees on the staff budget. They're going to want guarantees on the NIL. You better build that thing up, UCLA, to grab one of the coaches that are in the Athletic article. The reason why PJ Fleck is being named is the reason why I said in Minnesota 247 and on this show, in membership-only video, and on live shows and in episodes, is because there are some big money perch people who want PJ Fleck. Does Fleck want to go there? Would Jaman flip the switch? Would Minnesota come back and give PJ Fleck a better contract? I do know this. The names put out there by the reporting, how do I put this? This was not PJ Fleck's agent's actions. This has been a known thing, that there was cross-pollination between UCLA and PJ Fleck. I wasn't the only one to know this. This isn't, but I'm the one that's been talking about it because obviously I'm a Golden Gopher. I've had the information. That's why I've been talking about it. But there's other people there's other people in the industry who have this information. So where it goes from here, let's get to the Athletic article. And again, this is a different type of show because I'm actually focusing on the Gophers, and we are going to get to national. We're going to get to Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, March 22nd. March 22nd. Go or no go for launch. Florida State, ACC. We're going to get to that story. That's the story we were going to talk about. But then I started hyperventilating in this Culver's, Wisconsin evil bag, and I've been having a tough time surviving ever since. Okay, let's get to... Now I think I've lost it. UCLA candidates to replace Chip Kelly, PJ Fleck, David Shaw, and some familiar faces for the Bruins. Again, this is Bruce Feldman. Brett McMurphy says PJ Fleck is a candidate. Bruce Feldman says he's a candidate. We'll see how much interest there really is between the two parties. But yes, PJ Fleck was going to be named. Chip Kelly's leaving UCLA, but not the Big Ten, as he's expected to make the move to Ohio State to become the Buckeyes' offensive coordinator. He'll go to work for his protege, Ryan Day, as Ohio State works to try to reclaim the Big Ten. What the Buckeyes have done this offseason is monumental, and I'm underplaying that. I'm underplaying what the Buckeyes have done. Holy smokes. Kelly leaves Westwood after going 35-34 in 6 seasons. It was a rough start for the former Oregon coach who won big with the Ducks, but struggled getting UCLA turned around. He did lead the Bruins to a 9-4 record and finished the season ranked number 21 in 2022. And they won 8 games last season and whooped arch rival USC. But things had become an uphill battle for him and the program in the recruiting front in the NIL era because they couldn't stand Chip Kelly. It had become a pretty bad marriage. One Bruins staff has said, we've been talking about this for weeks here at Peek Around the Corner. Bruins fans have been very frustrated for a while, as have boosters. Yeah. Will the boosters become more engaged under a new coach? They have to, or they're not going to get their target 1, target 2, target 3, target 4. We'll see. They were out on Kelly. Athletic director Martin Jaman told the team it would have a new coach within 96 hours. 96 96 hours. 96 hours. 96 hours. Athletic director Martin Jaman told the team it would have a new coach within 96 hours. Now, I got a lot to say about that. That is when... No, I'm... Let's just go on. That's moving fast. Kelly did push for his assistant coaches to get in new 2-year deals this winter, so a new coach likely will have to retain a lot of the staff. Now, right away, that's a big turnoff. I don't know about David Shaw, but PJ Fleck, that would be a big turnoff. That is what one of the hopes I'm hoping. Here's how we expect this search to shape up. Former Stanford coach David Shaw, whose son is a wide receiver on the team, knows the UCLA program pretty well. The 51-year-old San Diego played and coached at Stanford, so he knows what it's like to work in a high academic environment. Shaw is well respected and is a 4-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year. He had 5 seasons with at least 10 wins, but the program dropped off in his last 4 years there, going 14-28. Is he the right fit to replace Kelly and re-energize Bruins football? David Shaw. Is he the right guy? He runs a tight ship. That's exactly what Martin Jaman is looking for. Would he energize? I don't know. Minnesota coach PJ Fleck. He's high energy. The 43-year-old knows the Big Ten. In 2019, he was the Big Ten Coach of the Year. After leading the Gophers to an 11-2 season, he's 50-34, although 29-32 in league play. He's a good coach who took over a messy situation at Minnesota. You don't know the half of it. What was going on behind the curtain at Minnesota? Unsupervised recruiting visits. It was... this is one of the reasons why we knew what was going to happen to Tracy Claeys when our local press did not know it. Anyways, he's known for his row the boat mantra and the pep he brings. How well that might play in Los Angeles would be interesting, to say the least. I'll get back to that in a second. As for the coaches without head coaching experience, now they did not name David Clawson here. They did not name Barry Odom from UNLV, which I think might be a candidate. As for the coaches without head coaching experience, former UCLA running backs coach Deshaun Foster just left to become the Raiders running backs coach. He's loved by the players, also by the folks around the program. Foster did a terrific job with his running backs and kept cranking out playmakers. He should merit some consideration for the job. I don't think that's going to happen. UCLA defensive coordinator, I don't think that's going to happen. Ohio State running backs coach Tony Alford might get some consideration. He is another beloved assistant by his players and peers. Alford was a candidate at Colorado State a few years back. He overlapped a few years Ohio State when he's Urban Meyer's assistant head coach, and Jaman was the deputy athletic director there. There's some overlap. So Tony Alford, yeah, I would consider him as a potential candidate. Nebraska defensive coordinator Tony White, right up there with PJ Fleck in my hot board. No question about it. played at UCLA. He is a Bruin, has proven to be a bright defensive mind. The 44-year-old Rocky Long protege had a good first season at Lincoln. He had a great first season at Lincoln, turning what had been Big Ten's 13th ranked run defense into the number 2 unit this season. Huskers have gone number 10 in sacks to number 2. And finally, a wild card candidate is USC's defensive coordinator, Anton Lynn. He just left UCLA. He just went to USC. This is an interesting candidate, but probably not. Okay, here's a few things. One is the 96 hours thing. That one hurts because while Pete Thamel called this a national search, Jaman went in and told the players 96 hours. You don't do that unless this thing has been worked. This didn't just start today, this search. It didn't just start today. And the first name everybody talks about is PJ Fleck. Now, because I've been talking about PJ Fleck to UCLA, has nothing to do with information about the search. We have none at this point. I've been talking about PJ Fleck because of the past that we knew about the cross-pollination, about how there's boosters, UCLA money perch that is interested in PJ Fleck. But this 96 hours thing, that means there is candidates, at least two candidates that they know has strong interest in them. Tony White, Anton Lynn, maybe PJ Fleck. This thing is already down the road, as it needs to be. Especially UCLA knew that Chip Kelly was going to get, was doing all he could to get out of Westwood. Okay, and let me tackle this one here. State of North Carolina, Mecklenburg County, Atlantic Coast Conference, the plaintiff, the Board of Trustees, Florida State University. We got a heads up last night. That something was going to be filed. We didn't have any of the details, but we knew it was Mecklenburg County. We had zero details of what was going to be in it. Right here. Whoops, sorry about that. Whoa, something's wrong here. Hold on. Okay. 17 hours ago, this was about 10 o'clock last night. Might be an interesting day tomorrow. Keep your head on a swivel. And then later on, and here it is. So we were expecting this, but we had no idea what, the reason, I can't really get into it, but the reason why we knew something was going to pop here was because certain parties knew something was going to pop here. But again, we were not given any of the details. If we were given any of the details, I probably would not have been able to talk about it anyways. But let's get to what we believe this is all about. Mitt Winter, who saw my post, this was early in the morning. phrased it in this manner. A hearing on Florida State's motion to dismiss or stay the ACC's lawsuit filed in North Carolina State Court will be held on March 22nd. If the lawsuit isn't dismissed, Florida State is asking it to be stayed so its lawsuit in Florida State Court can proceed. Now, I'm interested in all your phone calls, of course, but I'm interested in what people think of this here. This is March 22nd. March 22nd, 2024, 9:30 a.m., courtroom 6370 of the Mecklenburg County Courthouse, Charlotte, North Carolina. Florida State, I would call, now again, I'm not a lawyer, but I would call this two bites at the apple, right? Florida State is asking for the lawsuit from the ACC to be dismissed. And if not, they want the court case in Mecklenburg County to be stayed so its lawsuit in Florida State Court can proceed. So March 22nd has become a monster of a day when it comes to Florida State versus the ACC and the future of the ACC and the future of the Florida State Seminoles. March 22nd. Now, I don't know what the lawyers are saying. Maybe they're saying, of course, Mecklenburg County Judge Cooper is not going to dismiss the case. Judge Cooper is a North Carolina graduate. I'm very, I question how much I don't know how much it means for Judge Cooper to be alumni of North Carolina. Maybe I'm being a little naive. I'm not sure that plays a whole lot into it. But we'll see. Judge Cooper. The story could be on March 22nd that they're dismissing the North Carolina lawsuit against the Board of Trustees because they should not have filed it the day before Florida State filed theirs. Or maybe the ACC, it gets dismissed because the ACC did not have the authority to file it without following procedures in the ACC, the conference. Or whatever other reason. If it gets dismissed, if this court case gets dismissed in Mecklenburg County on March 22nd, holy smokes, we've got ourselves advantage Florida State. Now, if it doesn't get dismissed, which is probably the chalk, the favorite, then we'll see if Florida State can push out that date, can get it stayed, can get it paused, and see if Florida State can get their court case going in Leon County. Now, did I present this incorrect? Let me know in the chat or with your phone calls. Because, again, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV. Okay, let me get to your comments. I know I've lost a lot of comments here. Let me get to them. I'm going to open up the phone lines in a little bit. 96 hours of anxiety. No question about it. Let me thank everybody who has come on in. I haven't even done that yet. I am way behind. I apologize. Jay Puremutter. Mr. Bruin is in the house. Large earthquake here in LA. Holy, that's me falling on the ground. Jay, that's me collapsing. That is the earthquake that you felt. I think they like PJ Fleck. This is good news for Nebraska fans. It is, unless Tony White is the guy. It could be Tony White. It could be Tony White. Ohio State's going to be so loaded. Thank you, Jamie, for coming on in. Tu Masta, Alan Tran, Immaculate is in the house. Tough Tony is in the house. Don Scruggs is in the house. Caden's dad, he has come on in. Jamie Thornton, Clinton Moses, he's here today. Kill Ball is in the house. Facts Over Fandom is in the house. The Red Raider, Laura Weiss. Anyone on the West Coast who felt that earthquake? Everyone's talking about an earthquake. You mean that wasn't me who fell down? I wasn't the part of the earthquake. Minnesota's athletic director just got a 2-year contract extension. Approved by the Board of Regents yesterday. Now runs through 2/30. PJ will get a raise soon. That could be. That very well could be. Now, we do know, Tony, that Mark Coyle was the finalist for the USC athletic director job. So Mark Coyle was trying to go west to a new Big Ten school, but he did not get that job. I think he was runner-up or third place, but he was one of the 3 finalists that were named. We'll see. We shall see. Jamie Thornton, it wasn't you, Greg, that caused the earthquake. Maybe it was UCLA when they were going to call PJ, and now they're going in another direction. Positive vibes. Head on a swivel. Holy. Okay, I'm going to open up the phone lines. Now, phone lines are now open. You can talk about anything college football. 763-260-1333. I'm checking my notes. Pete Thamo, I can't play that. I'll get this is what the Buckeyes have done. Brandon Marcello, 247 Sports, added a number 1 this offseason. This is what the Buckeyes have done this offseason. Added the number 1 player in the portal, added the number 1 quarterback in the portal, added the number 1 running back in the portal, signed a number 5 high school recruiting class, hired a Big Ten head coach to be the offensive coordinator. The Buckeye Avengers have assembled. Will Howard, Caleb Downs, number 1 player, Judkins, the number 1 running back. Just wow. Okay, let me as we wait for our phone calls to come in, ladies and gentlemen, phone lines are open. Let me check with the UCLA 247. As I've been talking about PJ Fleck as a candidate at the Minnesota 247 site since January 31st, UCLA 247 site did not mention PJ Fleck until after Brett McMurphy mentioned him as a possible candidate. Here is the the UCLA hot board I'm trying to find the latest update. Hold on. They are talking Tony White, Jason Candle. Interesting. Jason Candle. UCLA is UCLA 247. I just read something. I did not like it. I'm going to try to find you the original. Hold on, everybody. I apologize. It's a live show. We're going with the flow here, guys. We're going with the flow. UCLA 247 has Tom Herman, David Shaw, Matt Campbell. Why not? He's on everybody else's list. Tony White. Tony White could be the favorite, guys. I'm hoping. Justin Wilcox. I don't know if he'll excite the. You've got to be able to excite the boosters. I think Tony White would do it. Okay. This is what they say about PJ Fleck. They've added some of this information here. Head coach. He's turned Minnesota, where it's not easy to attract talent, into a winner. He's posted an 11-1 season, followed up with 2-9-1 season. He's considered a player's coach. You have to think his rah-rah personality would serve him well in donor circles. NIL. Plus, he comes from a pro, Minnesota's is a professional league state, right? And Los Angeles, it's hard to get attention when you're a college coach at these pro, big cities. Cons, he's entirely a Midwestern guy. He has no experience in the West. True. When we're talking about culture shock for a non-West coaster coming to UCLA, he could be a candidate. True. The knock on him is that he's more hype than substance. Not true. He's a lot of substance. Likelihood. We know he's a candidate. Now, this is UCLA 247. We know he's a candidate actually on UCLA's list and is being vetted. There could be a personal connection with Martin Jaman. Many times when you hire a coach, you lean toward the opposite personality of the coach that just departed, and Fleck, being the hype type of guy, is just that. So UCLA 247, this was just added. This was just added at about 3 o'clock. We know he's a candidate actually on UCLA's list and is being vetted. Again, don't like it. Don't like it at all. But we had to give you the straight shoot here. How about Eric Bieniemy? Haven't heard that name. Now, I haven't been looking at my messages or oh boy. David Shaw or Jeff Tedford. They know the culture. But can either one of them excite the boosters? Maybe Jeff Tedford a little bit. I don't think David Shaw would. I think Tony White would. Greg Odom, Barry Odom from UNLV. Yes, I love Tony White, and sounds like Greg would agree with this happening. Tony White was sensational this year. And I'm not just saying that. I said it before all this happened. Tony White, Nebraska's defense did a great job this year. And they've been not good for many, many years. Many, many years. Go for Tony. Fleck is staying. Looking at that 2024 schedule, it's hard to see a loss. Yeah, Jason Shear. Those Arizona guys have been picking on Jed Fish pretty much for since Jed Fish took the Washington job. Yeah, so Minnesota goes to UCLA on October 12th. Look, let's play forward a little bit. Let's say PJ Fleck is interested. Let's say he gets what he wants from UCLA. He's being vetted. He's going to clear all that. Let's say it actually happens. It would completely destroy the Minnesota football program. It would annihilate it. The Gophers would it would decimate the program. I am not even, we took a step back last year. Darius Taylor is an absolute beast. True freshman. We were able to keep him with NIL. Minnesota was able to keep him. Brought the Brink truck. And I mean, I'm just going to play this forward. If PJ Fleck is the head coach of UCLA, Darius Taylor's going with them. Why? Because PJ Fleck gives his RB1 the rock. Look at the history of PJ Fleck, how he treats his RB1. Darius Taylor's going to go with them. He's going to get 1,500 yards if he stays healthy. He's going to be in the NFL. It would be absolutely devastating. The culture that he's built at Minnesota, the relationships, he's the only guy. Hardly anybody could have done what PJ Fleck has done for the Gopher football program. That's just the honest truth. There's a lot. That's why people say he's hype. There's no substance. That UCLA 247 writer does not know PJ Fleck. And they're going to know him. If he goes to UCLA, they're going to learn real quick. He is the way he is in front of the camera as he is in back of the camera. The guy is the same. Both ways. That is who he is. People believe he's all hype because he's full of energy. He's actually a very conservative coach. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are a bully team. If he goes to UCLA, that means UCLA has made the decision. They're not going to throw the ball around like Washington, Oregon, and USC. They're going to be the bully team out west, if that's what happens. Because PJ Fleck's not going to go there and run a Chip Kelly offense. He's going to hand the ball off to his RB1 guy 30 to 35 times a game. He's going to have a max protect blocking for the quarterback. They're going to throw it to the wide receivers, run the ball, not too much to the tight ends. The tight ends are going to stay in and block. They're going to have a huge offensive line. That's PJ Fleck. If it happens. And one other thing. The phone lines are open. Give me a call. One other thing. And I'm talking to the UCLA Bruin fans. One of the reasons why PJ Fleck, couple reasons, why PJ Fleck could also go to the UCLA. Again, he may not. He may decide this is way too late in the calendar. Our family life, our children being in the schools for all these years in Minnesota. There's a whole bunch of things that go into this, right? So I don't know. PJ Fleck might pick up the phone. He's already gotten the call. He's probably already being vetted. But maybe at the end of the day, he says no. But a couple things. And I want the UCLA Bruin fans to listen to me because I gave you the peek around the corner on this, on the possibility. One of the things is UCLA's NIL is rock bottom. They're running debt. It's a very tough job at this time. That's exactly what PJ Fleck wants. What do you think? He's at Minnesota. Western Michigan didn't win a MAC title since 1966. 1966. That was the last time Western Michigan won a MAC title. And then PJ Fleck goes there and they go 13 and bleeping 0. PJ Fleck has been the best Gopher head coach since Bierman. I mean, so it's not all hype. It's a whole lot of substance. And he loves the challenge. That's what Roll the Boat is all about. So if you get in this thing where you can write it on paper, you can go to PJ Fleck and say, this is how much we'll build NIL, all that stuff, money for the staff. PJ Fleck will probably consider it. He'll probably take it. One other thing, when it comes to culture shock, yeah. Have you watched? PJ Fleck is a Midwestern guy. Have you seen what he wears? Have you seen what PJ Fleck wears? I mean, he wears skinny jeans. He's a fashionable guy. Yeah, he's from the Midwest. He's from Illinois. His family, his mom and dad live in Illinois. Big Catholic family, crosses all over the wall. He's a Midwest guy, but my goodness, he can move. He'd do just fine. PJ Fleck and the wife and everything, they're big city people. They love Minneapolis. They would love Los Angeles if it fits their family. So all I'm saying is a bunch of stuff there about PJ Fleck that isn't, they don't know him. I mean, UCLA beat writers, they don't know him yet. But if he goes there, they're going to learn a lot. That's all I'm going to say. Now, PJ Fleck is not going to be interested if he's got to completely rebuild. There has to be guarantees because it's taken Minnesota so long to have a true collective for everybody to have buy-in. We finally got it here in Minnesota. We were one of the last Big Ten schools to finally have a collective, to finally be aligned with everything going on at the university. Finally. That part, that's a good one, Replica. Rhett Lashley. Interesting. Very interesting one. Very interesting one. Yeah, he would fit very well in Los Angeles. He would fit better. PJ Fleck would fit better in Los Angeles than he would in Lincoln, Nebraska, in Norman, Oklahoma, in Manhattan, Kansas, in Lubbock, Texas. He's a metro city guy.
Call from
JD.
JD, the floor is yours. How you doing, Mr. Seminole?
Fine, sir. How about yourself?
Good. We talked about Mecklenburg County, March 22nd. Holy smokes.
Yes, sir. You've got on Twitter and so on some of the lawyers. Like I interact with Doug Rohan and Danielle Sum, and I think they do a great job.
Yeah.
Some of the other lawyers, like on War Chant and some of the other ones, they're a lot more reserved. That doesn't mean they're pessimistic that much per se, but they do temper our expectations a little bit.
Okay.
So they really haven't responded much to any of this news today. They're just like, this is just procedural. It's just, you're still going to get the answers next week in both court cases, but the 22nd will actually start oral arguments, is what they're saying.
Okay.
So that they actually go into court and again present their motions rather than just presenting paperwork. So next week, you can expect the 16th. You'll still in both cases. They'll answer. So this is all just part of the procedures. But
so there's really no chance of dismissal on March 22nd.
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
okay.
I some of the arguments like that Doug has made in the last 48 hours, or last 24 hours especially, as a non-lawyer, I'm not even in the legal profession in any aspect, but they make more sense to me than some other arguments that I've seen. But again, you can get 10 lawyers in a room and only a handful will agree with each other. So you just don't ever know.
Sure.
And a lot of it's depending upon the judge. Will a judge in Mecklenburg County, if he wasn't in Mecklenburg County, would he rule one way or the other, or is he going to want to just punt this down the road, hoping he doesn't have to rule on it because it might not necessarily go in the ACC's favor? I don't see much of a case for the ACC, because it's my contention, and again, I'm not a lawyer. You've seen the argument where, people have said, well, FSU signed the contract and they've operated under this contract for years. And I thought Doug made a great argument. Yes, they sure have. They've operated under the contract for years. But if they're not contractually obligated to stay in the contract, then they've already, honored the terms for the services that they've provided. They've made the ACC money. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to continue to move forward under these terms. They may not be locked in. And it's also my contention that we get a little bit confused between the contract and the grant of rights. Grant of rights is a separate document, but it supports the contract. So you could operate under the contract, but if FSU's Board of Trustees didn't approve the grant of rights and it's Florida law that they were the ones that had to approve the grant of rights, then the grant of rights may not apply to them. Doesn't mean they can't still operate under the contract because that's a business arrangement. The grant of rights is a rights enforcement arrangement. And it's sort of separate. That's my contention. So I think there's a potential loophole there. Lawyers will disagree, and they may end up being right, and I'm wrong. I don't know, But I just think with all the things that have been presented recently, something's going to stick. I mean, would you agree? I mean,
I would,
from FSU's case.
If I was a betting man, yes, I would say. Now, the other part of it was if they didn't get the dismissal, which chances are probably pretty small, they would try to go for the stay
Yes.
Yes, sir. Did any lawyers talk about the chances of that being successful?
Some yes, some no. I mean, it just it's all over the place. I mean, when stuff like this comes out, you'll have about 6 or 8 of them that are just kind of going back and forth, and then you have some people that they worked in the corporate world. They wrote a lot of contracts. They wrote a lot of media contracts, actually, some that we probably discussed in other conferences and so on. But it's just they've all. Whenever those conversations happening, I'm getting an education.
Yeah.
I really don't have a lot to provide because that's not in my field of expertise. but it's fascinating. It really is, and I think the whole legal process. Last 2 days I've had to just slow it down because like I told you before, my analytical mind, it just gets to wondering, and then I'm like, I'm a contractor. I've got jobs to finish. I can't be.
Yeah, yeah,
Realignment isn't taking care of me, but
yeah,
it's fascinating, especially as a fan.
yeah.
But yeah, so all this is expected, and then I also heard I think Doug was talking about don't be surprised if maybe even later this evening, he wouldn't. And this was him talking yesterday on one of the podcasts, and you know, you know, maybe the ACC files a motion of dismissal in Leon County.
Oh,
He said
yeah.
he
I was going to
he
ask
would,
you that. Yeah.
yeah, and he was talking about sometimes it's good to file those things on a Friday night,
Yeah.
or over a weekend.
No.
So this is all just procedural stuff.
Got it.
But now, as far as Minnesota, man, I hope you keep your coach.
Yeah. I hope so.
But if you don't, how's your linebackers and your defensive
We
tackle?
only have one, JD. That was our trouble last year. We were thin to start the season. That's why I predicted 6-6, and then we had injuries through all. We were playing all these walk-ons the last 3 games of the year. So, we're very thin at linebacker.
Well, the reason I say is anytime the portal opens, there needs to be some theme music for Mike Norvell.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Jaws theme.
Yeah, but how many spots does he have
players.
left? Right? I mean, you get to a point where he's probably got what he wants.
Yeah, they would probably. There's a couple of more position groups they would take more on. But anyway, I'm looking forward. I was a little pessimistic on what 2024 would look like, and now I'm actually really excited. I really am. But at UCLA, I mean, I'm not knowledgeable enough, but it's kind of eye opening when. Well, you did a good job clarifying it because I didn't understand that UCLA was as ready for Kelly to move on as he was ready to move on.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense that in the last week he's interviewing for every other position in the world rather than stay in there, and they haven't said a word.
Yeah.
And
he's he did not work. He did not associate himself at all with the boosters, and that was like 3 years ago. It happened right away. So somebody's got to rebuild that relationship. So some of the names that are being thrown around are really good quality, experienced coaches, but we're in the NIL era, and so like a David Shaw, I don't see him being the guy, but we'll see.
Well, I think Wake Forest coach is going to get one of these positions somewhere. I don't know if UCLA, that Clausen. He's a really good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's perfect for a place where he's a developer.
Yeah.
You get these 3-star guys that are 25 years old with 3 years of eligibility. Oh, those are perfect for him. And he'll make them into something really good. But I mean, does UCLA have a lot? Do they have the same kind of money that USC does? I don't think they do.
No, UCLA doesn't have the same money as Minnesota does.
Really?
They're extremely poor. They only make a little bit over $100 million in the athletic department. Minnesota's close to $150 million. They don't have the NIL. They have deficits every year. If you watch the California Board of Regents, where California, Berkeley, and UCLA they share some of the same governance structure in California, where they're debating on whether to have UCLA leave or not. I mean, the president of UCLA, I forget what his last name is, starts with the letter B, But anyways, him and Jaman, they were talking about how poor UCLA is. I mean, they ran like a $26 million deficit this year. So yeah, it's going to be a real tough job in the Big Ten. Now they're going to get infusion of cash, right, with the media deal. That's going to help. But if they're going to land somebody like a sitting head coach right now, they're going to have to give that head coach, like a Clausen or PJ Fleck, they're going to have to give them a lot of guarantees on what they're willing to do, like how much the boosters are willing to put in, or they're not going to be able to get a Clausen or a Fleck because no, UCLA is very, very poor right now. But they do have a recruiting grounds.
Sure.
So, there's a lot of coaches across the country who are doing more with less when it comes to recruiting grounds, like a PJ Fleck. There is no recruiting ground around him. 300 miles circumference around Minnesota's campus when it comes to football talent. I would probably rate that the lowest among all power schools. So what Fleck has, for him to go out to Los Angeles and be able to drive a little bit to or whatever, and have some talent around him, he would love that. But yeah, they're going to have to bring in the money, UCLA, to land a sitting head coach.
So you're basically saying that UCLA's floor is way lower than Minnesota's, but their ceiling is potentially higher.
Yes, yeah. And I think they're potentially higher for half of the Big Ten schools. But right now, their floor is just
anyway. Minnesota in the future can ever raise their ceiling.
No, I mean, okay. So if we get into this where student athletes are getting paid contracts and stuff, right? 2-year, 3-year contracts, and they can't leave, and Minnesota does a great job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, in that environment they can do better, but not in this environment. No.
Okay.
Now okay, so I don't normally do this. I'm going to show this on the screen to everybody. Okay? This is behind a paywall. First of all, I'm going to give you a great example of this, JD. Let me just get through a couple of super chats real quick. John Teal, Greg, I'm in LA. The coach has to be a star to sell the tickets. And John Teal, thank you for your super chat. Everything you said about PJ, hard nose, running game, max protection, passing, and a clean program is David Shaw. And he knows the West Coast culture. Very good points. Thank you, John. I appreciate the your generosity once again. Now, I'm going to show you something here. Everybody. Of course, I just lost it. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is Tracy Pearson. Okay, this is Tracy Pearson, who works at UCLA 247. He just put this out there 10 minutes ago, JD, okay?
Okay.
Gopher Illustrated, Minnesota 247 just posted this. This is how poor UCLA is right now. This is how poor they are. Everybody in the chat, take a look at this. This is Tracy Pearson, even though it says Gopher Illustrated, that is UCLA 247 staff writer. Fleck's buyout is $7 million, so that could be a snag. $7 million could be a snag. His salary with bonuses is estimated to be $7 million a year. That's Minneapolis money too. So LA cost of living makes matching his salary something to overcome. Will he be willing to take a pay cut? See? If UCLA cannot, if they're going to be, now maybe they don't have a choice. I mean, maybe the boosters at this point are so beaten down. Maybe they cannot even get in the game for a Clausen or a Fleck or for a lot of these other names that we think. If that is too much, then yeah, we're looking at a Barry Odom type of pick for UCLA.
What's his Fleck? How safe is he at Minnesota? In other words, if
safe.
He's 7-5 every year, is he safe
he's
for
safe.
6 or 7 years?
Yeah. Now he went 11-2, 9-4, 9-4. Okay.
Sure.
Those are the best 3 years in Minnesota since 1962 to 64. If that gives you the context. Then last year they went 6-7. They've won 5 bowl games in a row. They beat Auburn on January 1st in the January 1st game. They finished number 10th in the country in 2019. I mean, they've done things that Minnesota doesn't do. So that's my point. I mean, this is the job that we in Minnesota who cover this stuff, this is the job opening that we're scared of because we knew UCLA was interested in Fleck a couple years ago. But do they have the money? They got to get the money, or they're not going to get a Fleck. They're not going to get a whoever, right?
Sure.
That's might what it comes down to.
Well, yeah, I don't know him. I don't know his personality. I don't know. I know the row the boat mantra, and everybody's got their slogan. Norvell has, keep climbing. That's his, everybody's got a slogan. But, so unless he's either ready to make a move or he has so much faith in himself that he can turn anything around, it just doesn't sound like UCLA is the smart move as far as, from somebody on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I was curious. I was just going to pick your brain a little bit because this is something I wasn't very educated on, and
you got it, buddy.
I'm trying to branch out and learn a little bit more about what the other half.
Well, you might have to learn more about the Big Ten since you might be coming up here being member number 19. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we're hoping it sometime soon. I've heard the whole Texas A&M thing multiple times. No. Somebody talked about it might be sooner rather than later, and I don't know. I mean, the places you hear it, you're just kind of like, huh, and it raises your attention, But it could just be people talking.
I haven't heard that at all. So we'll see.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Appreciate it,
sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Great call by JD, Mr. Seminole R. Webb. Thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it so very much. Calamoni is rough, Greg. They haven't even done the Calamoni yet. They haven't even started that yet. They haven't. I don't believe they've given any money to. I don't think they give money to California Berkeley until the new media contract starts. Yeah, I mean, UCLA is poor. Their athletic department is poor. So they're gonna have to bring in the guarantees. They're gonna have to have it on paper. Their boosters are gonna have to just until they get a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years of that Big Ten media money. They're poor. They're very poor. If $7 million is what stops them from getting PJ Fleck, they don't have money. They do not have money. Okay, let's go back here to your comments, phone calls, The phone line is wide open. What do you take, Justin Lucas? What do you take on all those ACC champions in the state of North Carolina to 2031? That is a great question. All those, what were they? Women's basketball, everything. All these championships being played in Raleigh, North Carolina, Winston-Salem, all in the state of North Carolina. I guess that must have been agreed upon when I think the state of North Carolina, something to do with giving the ACC some money to make sure their headquarters would go to Charlotte, North Carolina, right? Something to do with that. $15 million is the number that's circling in my head. I think it was a quid pro quo. I think it was a quid pro quo between the ACC and the state of North Carolina. So to pay it all off, they've dumped all these championships in the state of North Carolina. I think that's what happened. UCLA could get Cliff Kingsbury pretty cheap. Yes, no buyout there. That's interesting. Interesting. UCLA called the Big Ten separately from USC. Jay Perlmutter, that is absolutely correct. Chip Kelly is confirmed to go to Ohio State. And that was a quick hire. Holy. Bill O'Brien out the door. Chip Kelly. Now, we do know in this UCLA, I probably won't be able to find it. There it is. Pete Thamel says, UCLA has been made aware of the Chip Kelly potential departure and is planning a national search for a replacement. So it's a national search, right? National. But let me see if I can find it. I can't find it. Here it is. Bruins fans have been very frustrated. This is from The Athletic. Bruce Feldman from The Athletic. Bruins fans have been very frustrated for a while, as have the boosters. Will the boosters become more engaged under a new coach? Well, they're going to have to. We'll see. They were out on Kelly. Athletic director Martin Jaman told the team it would have a new coach within 96 hours. That's the PATC money shot of all of this. Whoever is the new head coach of UCLA. That means Jaman has a decent idea who it is. Somebody they know they liked. Not just today, not just probably a couple of days ago. Some agent that they've been talking to for a while now. And that is why. That 96 hours, plus knowing that there was some cross-pollination between PJ Fleck and UCLA 2 years ago. We reported to you guys all that information weeks ago. That is why UCLA coach Chip Kelly leaving to become Ohio State's OC when Day was New Hampshire's quarterback. Kelly was New Hampshire's offensive coordinator. Expect PJ Fleck among the UCLA top candidates. And that is why the phone lines are now open. 763 260 1333. Give us a call. Talk about anything in college football. Mecklenburg County. Holy smokes. March 22nd, Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. Florida State, 2 bites at the apple. Midwinter, a hearing on Florida State's motion to dismiss or stay the ACC's lawsuit filed in North Carolina State Court will be held on March 22nd. If the lawsuit isn't dismissed, Florida State is asking that it be stayed or its lawsuit in Florida State Court can proceed. So, asking for a dismissal, probably not going to happen. Probably not going to happen. But maybe a stay. Could it be?
Call from
Jamie Thornton.
Jamie Thornton, Mrs. Arkansas Razorback, the floor is yours.
Well, you have, Greg, both a hog and a husky here today. And we both wanted to tell you, take deep breaths. It's going to be okay.
All right. I'm trying. I'm trying.
This is more of an
worried about me.
Intervention. This was more of an intervention, Greg. We just wanted to make sure that you're going to be okay.
All right. Appreciate it.
She was worried about you. So,
yeah.
you know.
Well, you all should be. That's all I'm saying.
Tell Greg it's going to be, she said it's going to be okay. Here.
It's going to be okay.
Did you hear that?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, I seriously don't know. Like you said, I mean, UCLA has such money issues. It really makes you wonder, could they even pull the trigger? I mean, how long, I don't even know, but how long technically until they would actually get any kind of a payout from the big? Is it going to be next year, 2025? And I know they're going into parcel, right?
That money, that new Big Ten media contract takes effect July 1st. UCLA will be a full member of the Big Ten. They'll get the full slice of the Tier 1, the Tier 2, and the Big Ten network. So UCLA is going to get an injection of a lot of money. And
okay, I knew that was coming. I just didn't know when exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I'm sorry. The Big Ten media contract has already started. It started last year, obviously. But UCLA,
that's what I was thinking.
UCLA will start getting money July 1st. Sorry about that.
So these schools actually start getting money like that on the actual day they join. So I'm guessing same thing for OU and Texas, right?
Yeah.
For the SEC, they just start. Okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Now UCLA, for example, their great softball program and everything, all these sports that are going on right now, the baseball, all that is Pac-12 media money. But on July 1st, UCLA is going to be, I believe, I better take a step back. The Pac-12 bylaws is kind of weird. It might have to take to August 1st because it's written in there. There's some weird stuff in the Pac. So July 1st or August 1st, UCLA will start getting that Big Ten money. All of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was just trying to wondering when they hit that. And of course, we know some of it goes to Cal, who's in worse shape than UCLA is even in. That whole thing is crazy.
Yeah.
But Just curious, if you're the Minnesota AD, right? What would you do right now? Like, what kind of a deal? Because PJ is going to get more money and more years, you would think, from Minnesota at the minimal out of this right now.
I would think so.
I mean, I would hope that they're working on something
Mark
right now.
Coyle just got an extension, the athletic director. More money and extension. And Mark Coyle and PJ Fleck are real close. Real close. So
okay.
Yeah, I would think that maybe PJ. Now, again, this was the down year that they had here, PJ Fleck. So it's hard to give them more money when they just had a down year, but
right.
Because he did get a raise after the previous year.
Yeah, it's so scary, Greg. Not only losing such a good young coach, possibly, but now with the portal and everything, it's it's magnified. It
would absolutely decimate. I can't even begin to tell you how bad it will get at Minnesota. Like, we would be the bottom if it had. Now it's going to be whenever PJ Fleck leaves, it's going to be bad. But if he leaves in February,
right? It's the time of the year. It's even worse. I got you. I mean, there's never a good time, but right now,
never a good. Yeah. So I'm hoping that that's one of the reasons why he just can't do it, because,
right. Well, it's there's so much going on right now with with everything going on in college football. And I watched your video that you put out earlier today, and it's very interesting because it's just like, it's I hate to say it, we don't want it obviously to become like a pro model, but with all the money going around, NIL, everything that's happening, there's just no voice. There's no leader, right, really, in college football. So, I mean, I know Sankey and Patini are going to get a lot of criticism, but someone has to try to step to the plate. I mean, something has to get done. I mean, this is a serious, it's such a serious issue because, like you said, I mean, the worst thing that happens is if the SEC and the Big Ten were to break away, right? If they end up doing their own thing and breaking away, what even ends up happening to the rest of college football after that? It's not just they're going to be okay and they're going to obviously make a ton of money if that happens. But who is the voice and what happens? And does anybody even tune in to watch a college football playoffs with everybody else? I mean, does it even matter? So hopefully it's that serious, and I hope something gets done and gets worked out.
Yeah,
that's all I can say. But
yeah, I hope so. I hope Kirk Schultz.
That's the man right there, Greg. Yeah. I hope to God that somebody can get that through to his head.
Yeah.
That I'll tell you right now that Sankey, as an SEC person, Sankey is not somebody that bluffs. He doesn't just say this. He will absolutely walk away if he feels like that's what he has to do. And obviously the Big Ten, they feel like they could probably break away on their own too. I think they obviously would do it as a joint venture if it comes down to it. But, this would be the end of big-time college football as we know it. It's horrible. I mean,
I just don't see it happening. Not now, but...
Yeah, I hope never. I mean, really, I hope never it gets to that point. You just don't want to see anybody left out. You already feel bad because everybody should be on an even playing field in Division I college football. But I'll say this much too with the Minnesota thing, man. If it does happen, don't get too down. I've lived here in Memphis since 2004, right? And Memphis football was so bad. I mean, before Justin Fuente came here, young Justin Fuente, about 12 years ago or 11 years ago, they were winning like 1 or 2 games a year. And then after him, they got Mike Norvell. They had some great coaches. Ryan Silverfield is doing a great job here. They had Dan Lanning as an assistant here. So Memphis, it's a school that a lot of people don't think about, but they've done a great job at keeping young coaches, really good young coaches. So there's people, to keep it going, keep the momentum going here. So, I mean, Minnesota could definitely get somebody if they have to, but hopefully it works out for you, Greg.
Yeah.
That was the main reason I wanted to call.
I appreciate it, Jamie. Appreciate your support all the way down there in Memphis, Tennessee. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll have to send you some barbecue sometime, Greg. I know a couple of people were asking about that earlier, like what's the best barbecue, but we'll just send you some Memphis barbecue sometime, you and the little general.
I would love it. Thank you.
All right. We'll pick Suey, Greg.
All right. Great call. J. Pure Mutter, Mr. Bruin. It was a miracle Chancellor Block said yes to the move to the Big Ten. Would have bet he'd be against such a move. Yeah, well, he was the guy who called the Big Ten. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good thing that UCLA is making the jump to the Big Ten for just pure financial reasons. There is some breaking news here. Breaking news. Ross Dellinger. Update on Dartmouth's men's basketball unionization effort. The NLRB Region 1 Boston has scheduled an in-person election for Dartmouth basketball players to vote on representation by SEIU Local 560 on March 5th. The ballot count will begin at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Dartmouth's campus. Dartmouth men's basketball players will be unionized March 5th. Big news, breaking news, historical news. It's not college football, but it is going to affect the college football players in the Ivy League. That NLRB ruling is good for the whole conference. They're all private institutions. The USC National Relations Board meeting, that whole thing that's going on at USC, that could affect the Big Ten and everybody else, because USC is also the National Labor Relations Board is suing a little bit differently in this case. The court case has to do with the conference being the ones that would be the employer, and USC football players and basketball players would be the employees, because the Big Ten Conference is a private entity. So that's why the USC, the National Labor Relations Board, has got the conference in its suit and the NCAA in its suit, instead of what happened in Dartmouth, where it was just the college. Because the whole conference is all private schools. So, anyways. Fleck to UCLA. Is there anything behind the rumor? Hummus here. We just did a whole show on it. 2 hours and 20 minutes. He is a candidate. Don't know how much interest Fleck has, but we've been talking about it for weeks. We did an early peek episode for members 5 days ago. We went into detail on it. Give me one more look around the bend here. If you're new to the show, or if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the show. Have your notifications open. Subscribe, have your notifications open, because we can go on live at any time. Anytime with breaking news. And if you like our content, please smash the like button. If you want to become an early peak member, just go to the link in the description box. Hit the join button. College football's Cloak and Dagger early peak episode. We gave you the early peek on Chip Kelly 5 days ago. We mentioned the name PJ Fleck. We thought he would be named. He was named a candidate today. So give it a watch, or give it a look. Hit the join button. One more look around, see if there's anything we've missed. You bet, Hummus. Appreciate you coming on in. Nope, I don't know anything. No new information. Crickets from Notre Dame. Last time we heard from them, they were carrying water for California and Stanford. We know you know some little something. No, I do not. Nope. I wish I did. It's Tim Brewster on. No, he's not. Illini Ted, Greg, there's a certain former Wisconsin defensive coach still sitting on the Illini staff that could transition to the head coaching spot at Minnesota if the sky falls. Oh my God! Oh my God! Interesting. Okay, we're going to close up the live show for tonight. We've been on the air for over 2 hours. I want to thank the phone calls, the donations, the wonderful comments in the chat room. Again, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't done yet, please subscribe to this channel. Smash the like button if you like our content, and make sure you have your notifications on. We're going to be continuing. I'm sorry, but we're going to shut this down. Sorry. I do apologize. A little too late. We're shutting this down. I do apologize for that. But going into the weekend, we're going to be following, of course, the Chip Kelly to the Buckeyes in the opening at UCLA, the job opening. Who's going to get it? David Shaw, Tony White, Barry Odom? We'll see. PJ Fleck? I don't want to blow into the brown paper bag. I hope I get some information here soon that says it's not going to happen. I'm going to be working throughout the night. So we're going to be, keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel when it comes to this and everything else in college football. I'm working on every single story out there. So make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you real soon. So from all of us to all of you here at PATC, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you.